2,000 years ago, on the single greatest day of his life, the most powerful man in Rome had someone standing right behind him, whispering into his ear over and over, not praise, not strategy, a warning. Look behind you. Remember you are only a man. Remember that you will die. At his moment of total glory, Rome deliberately reminded its hero that one day he would rot in the ground like everyone else. And here's the strange part. It wasn't cruelty. It was the most powerful discipline they had. This is Memento Mori, and we have completely forgotten how to use it. To understand the whisper, you have to understand the day it was spoken. When a Roman general won a massive victory, he could be given the ultimate honor, the triumph, a parade through the heart of Rome that turned a man, for one single day, into something close to a god. Picture it. His face is painted red to match the statue of Jupiter himself. He wears robes of purple and gold. He rides a 4-horse chariot through streets packed with the entire city, all of them screaming his name. Behind him march his soldiers, his captured enemies in chains, on wagons piled with the treasure of a conquered world. For that one day, he is the closest thing to a living deity the Roman world allows. And right there, in the chariot, at the absolute peak of human glory, stands a slave, holding a golden crown above the great man's head, leaning in again and again to whisper the same thing. Remember you are a man. Remember you will die. Now ask yourself why. Why would Rome ruin the greatest day of a man's life with a reminder of his own death? Because the Romans understood something brutal about power. The exact moment a man is told he's a god is the exact moment his ego becomes most dangerous to the people around him and to himself. So they built the antidote directly into the ritual. At the height of his power, they chained that power to the one thing no man escapes. Death was the leash. The whisper was the discipline. Rome did not trust glory, so it placed a reminder of the grave inside the crown. But here's what most people miss. This wasn't just a one-day ritual for generals. The Romans turned it into a discipline for living. They called it Memento Mori. Remember that you will die. Now, that sounds morbid, depressing even. It's the exact opposite. The Stoics, Seneca, Epictetus, Marcus Aurelius, treated the thought of death as the single sharpest tool they had for living well. Marcus Aurelius, an emperor with the whole world at his feet, wrote to himself constantly that he could leave life at any moment and to let that thought shape every word and every action. Seneca said something even more cutting. We don't die all at once. We die a little, every single day. And the man who has truly learned how to die has unlearned how to be a slave. So why does it work? Why does thinking about the end make you better at the middle? Because nothing on earth focuses a human being like a deadline. And death is the only deadline that is completely real. When you actually grasp that your time runs out, that this could be your last year, your last conversation, your last ordinary, forgettable Tuesday, the trivial stuff loses its grip on you, the grudges you've been nursing, the fear of looking stupid, the hours you pour into a screen, held up against the fact of death, almost everything we stress about simply dissolves. Memento Mori isn't about being sad that you'll die. It's about being awake because you will. It is the difference between drifting through a life you quietly assume is infinite and choosing one you know for a fact is running out. So here's where it gets uncomfortable, because we have built a civilization designed to do the exact opposite of the whisper. We have built one that hides death completely. We've tucked it away in hospitals, out of sight. We fill every silent moment, every red light, every elevator, every second of boredom with a feed, so the big questions never get the chance to surface. And we move through our days, acting, every single one of them, as if our time is unlimited. And that denial has a cost, massive one, because when you secretly believe you'll leave forever, you postpone everything that actually matters. You start the real work later. You'll fix the relationship later. You'll finally start living later. You treat your days like they are infinite, so you end up spending them like they're worthless. The Romans whispered death into the ear of their greatest hero to keep him sharp and humble and awake. We've done the reverse. We've muted that whisper entirely, and without it, we drift. We chase things that won't matter in a year, let alone at the end. We trade time we can never get back for comfort we won't even remember. And to be clear, there's a wrong way to do this too. Obsessing over death, sinking into dread. That's not the lesson. That's just fear wearing a philosopher's robe. The Stoic way was never about being afraid of the end. It was about using it. The denial of death doesn't make us happier. It just makes us asleep. So here's the part you can actually use. You don't need a slave in a chariot. You can be your own whisper. Memento Mori, done right with one simple practice. Repeat it on purpose. Remember that your time ends. Try tonight. Ask yourself the one question that cuts through everything else. If I knew this was my last year, would I still spend tomorrow the way I'm about to? Would I still pick this fight? Hold this grudge? Burn this hour? This was never about fear. It's about focus. The thought of death is the most powerful filter you will ever have for deciding what your life is actually for. It burns away the trivial and leaves only what's real. The people, the work, the moments that are worth your finite, irreplaceable time. The Romans understood that even a god needed to hear it. The Stoics built an entire philosophy around it. And somewhere along the way, we decided to look away. So don't. Look straight at it. Let it sharpen you instead of scaring you, because you're going to die. And strangely, fully accepting that might be the most alive you'll ever feel. So be honest with me. If you truly accepted that your time is running out, what is the one thing you would start wasting it on, starting tomorrow? Tell me in the comments. And if this shifted something in you, subscribe. Because history isn't just stories. It's the wisdom we keep forgetting and being handed again and again.